The girl who woke up in her funeral. The first rays of the morning sun had yet to touch the earth when the mournful beat of drums echoed through the deserted streets of the village. A thin layer of mist shrouded the small town, where an old-fashioned house stood in the center. That day was one of grief for the entire village as they prepared to bid farewell to Chandni, a young woman who had passed away suddenly the night before. What made her death even more tragic was the timing. Chandni was supposed to get married the next day. She was a bright, kind-hearted girl, loved by everyone in the village. She had secured a good job in the city and had been taking care of her ailing parents. Her wedding was supposed to be a joyous occasion, but fate had something else in store. The night before her wedding, Chandni suddenly fell unconscious. Her parents and relatives rushed her to the nearest doctor, but he could do nothing except shake his head and declare her dead. "It was a heart attack," he said sorrowfully. "I'm sorry, but she's gone." Her parents were devastated. The house that had been decorated for a wedding now became the site of a funeral. The white wedding dress she was supposed to wear on her big day was now the dress in which she would be buried. The village mourned. Women wept in grief, and men silently prepared for the funeral. Chandni's body was bathed and wrapped in a white shroud, as per tradition. Her face looked peaceful, as if she were merely asleep. But then, something extraordinary happened, an unexpected scream. Just as they were about to lift her for burial, a loud scream pierced through the air. A woman, one of the mourners, had suddenly fallen to the ground, shaking violently. Her eyes rolled back, and she began muttering incoherent words. The villagers gathered around her in shock. "The girl is not dead," she suddenly shrieked, pointing at Chandni's body. Gasps of disbelief filled the air. Some murmured prayers while others whispered to each other, unsure of what to believe. Chandni's mother, who had been sobbing uncontrollably, suddenly froze. Hope flickered in her eyes. "What are you saying?" she demanded. The woman continued to shake, as if possessed by an unseen force. "She is alive! Don't bury her!" Some of the villagers dismissed the woman's words as hysteria caused by grief. But Chandni's father hesitated. His hands trembled as he stepped closer to his daughter's still body. He bent down, placed a hand on her forehead, and felt something faint but undeniable. A pulse. For a moment the world seemed to stop. His breath caught in his throat. "She's alive!" he cried out. The village erupted into chaos. The girl, who returned from the dead, the funeral was immediately halted, and Chandni's body was rushed back into the house. A local healer was called, and within moments she confirmed the unbelievable. Chandni was still breathing, albeit very weakly. Her mother sobbed, clutching her daughter's lifeless-looking hand. "Chandni, my child, come back to us," she wailed. Minutes passed. Then, just as hope seemed to dwindle, Chandni's fingers twitched. A collective gasp filled the room. Her eyelids fluttered. And then, with great effort, she took a deep, shuddering breath. The entire village witnessed the impossible. Chandni, who had been declared dead, was now awake. She slowly sat up, her eyes filled with confusion. "What happened?" she murmured weakly. Her mother hugged her tightly, unable to speak through her sobs. You died, my child," her father finally managed to say. "But you're back." Chandni's brow furrowed. "Died," she echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. Then, a strange look crossed her face. "I saw something. I was somewhere else." The villagers leaned in, eager to hear what she had to say. A journey beyond death. Chandni's voice was weak, but she spoke with clarity. "When I lost consciousness, I felt like I was floating. I saw a bright light. And then I was in a place unlike anything I've ever seen." She described a vast, peaceful landscape filled with golden fields and an endless sky. There was no pain, no sorrow, only an overwhelming sense of peace. She saw figures in the distance, some familiar and some unknown, all dressed in white. One of them stepped forward. It was her grandmother, who had passed away years ago. She smiled at me. Chandni whispered. She told me it wasn't my time yet. She said I had to go back. The villagers listened in awe. Many of them had heard stories of near-death experiences, but had never encountered one firsthand. Chandni's mother wept even harder. "It was a miracle," she cried. "God sent her back to us." Chandni's fiancé, Arman, who had been mourning the loss of his bride-to-be, was speechless. He knelt before her, his hands trembling. "I thought I lost you forever," he whispered. She gave him a weak smile. "I thought so too." A second chance at life as days passed. Chandni slowly regained her strength. The news of her miraculous return spread far and wide, and people from nearby villages came to see her, eager to hear her story. Her wedding, which had been turned into a funeral, was rescheduled. But this time, it was more than just a union between two people. It was a celebration of life, a testament to the power of faith, love, and miracles. The woman who had screamed at the funeral, who many believed had been divinely inspired, became a revered figure in the village. Some said she had been possessed by a spirit who refused to let an innocent soul be buried alive. Others believed she had been guided by God himself. As for Chandni, she never forgot the place she had seen. The golden fields, the endless sky, and the kind smile of her grandmother. She knew that one day she would return there. But for now, she had been given a second chance, and she was determined to live it to the fullest. The mystery remains. To this day, no one can fully explain what happened to Chandni. Was it a medical anomaly, a divine intervention, or something beyond human comprehension? All that remains is the story, a tale passed down through generations, reminding people that sometimes death is not the end. Sometimes miracles do happen, and sometimes the dead wake up. For most, Chandni's return from death was a miracle, a blessing from the heavens. But for Chandni herself, life after that night was never the same. Though she tried to resume her normal life, a strange feeling lingered inside her, as if she had brought something back with her from the other side. At first it was subtle. Whispers. In the wind, when no one was around, shadows shifting in the corners of her vision. She dismissed it as exhaustion, a side effect of the trauma she had endured. But as days turned into weeks, the occurrences became harder to ignore. She would wake up in the middle of the night, her body cold and drenched in sweat, feeling as though someone was watching her. The dreams were the worst. Visions of the place she had seen during her near-death experience, but darker, twisted. The golden fields she once described were now gray and lifeless, and among the figures she had seen before, there was now one she didn't recognize, a tall, hooded entity with hollow eyes, always standing at a distance, watching her. Chandni told no one about these nightmares. She feared that speaking about them would make them real.